Your brother?
Yeah.
Police station. Morris Island.
Right, brother. Yo, John, no dog. I'm Morris is my youth. John, no dog. How many more buffalo are going on in New Year? I'm Black Beast, but yo, Black Beast first. I'm saying Black Beast. I'm from doing my first. I'm too bad. John, no dog.
Que pasa, say what they do. Welcome to Crime Time News, where the difference is in the meds. Call it news with a buzz. They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This can appropriately apply as it pertains to these bike riders on the street of Jamaica, especially those of the yang type. The audio that you just heard from the video, because of YouTube's policy, I cannot show it. Don't want my video and my channel to get strike. Play the audio so you could hear. That is of the voices of some witnesses that were there when two bikes going in opposite direction collided early in the morning, maybe about 3 to 4 a.m. in St. Mary, that is. Based on the popo reports, neither of the bikes had any sorts of lights. Neither of the riders on both bikes had any sorts of helmets. Both set of riders were speeding, going like some madbat out of hell. However, they were going so fast, by the time they realized that the next person going in the opposite direction was facing them head on, it was already too late. Both men, both bike, both heads collided, pretty much HEAD injuries for both of these men. Now people, how many times have you seen on social media, in a news, in a real life? Most of the persons that lose their lives yearly on an annual basis, that is, of the 400 to 500, maybe about 1/3 are persons that are of the yang or any sorts of bike. Mostly yang, the annoyance bikes. Most of the time, they are not wearing any sorts of helmet. Most of the time, it is always head, INJURIES. Most of the time, they are pronounced on the spot. Most of the time, it is the same sort of era. So therefore, most of the time, it is the same people with the same sorts of mentality. They are hard-headed. But like I've always said, a hard ears make for a soft ASS. These people will not learn until it is too late, meaning they are stiff, stone, cold, numb, pon the ground, end up down a dovecat or modern. Unless them end up that way, they are going to do the same thing over and over. Like I said, the theme of this part of the video, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different result. Them mad, them sick, them head, it no good. Point blank and period. Further on in the news, it is called, in Jamaica, you have to decide whether you want to be your brother's or your sister's keeper, meaning that if you see a sister or your brother in any sort of trouble, meaning neighbors, are you going to help them? Is it worth you playing hero only to end up zero, meaning hurt badly or even worse, losing your life? I am speaking about an incident that occurred in a place called Westmoreland, Grange Hill to be specific, where it is said that a 32-year-old man that is now in custody, his government name is Mr. Odane McDonald. Now people, based on the information, it is said that Mr. McDonald had some lady, an elderly lady with some sort of kitchen utensil at her neck. Pretty much he was going to bust her throats. A 58-year-old neighbor heard the commotion, saw exactly what was transpiring. he said to himself, should I go there and try to rescue this lady and maybe even lose my life? He decided that he was going to do his civic duty. He was going to run to the rescue of this lady, which he should, which most Jamaican probably would have, especially the fact that it is an elder. It is said that in his rescue progress, the man that was actually holding the lady at knife point at her throat, Mr. O'Dane McDonald, he decided that he was going to release that person and then took on the hero, would-be hero. It is said that him joke up this man several times, almost life-threatening injuries. That man was admitted in a hospital. However, he knew exactly who was responsible for him getting joke up and who had this elderly lady at knife point. So people like me say, this man, 58-year-old, he thought that it was the right thing to do. He was not going to live with himself knowing that he did nothing to help this elderly lady who was obviously going to be killed by this maniac. Went to the rescue and then you know exactly what happened. Him get joke up. He then reported the episode to the Popo. The Popo then went and make an arrest of this suspect, Mr. McDonald. Ho McDonald, not from the farm, but is farming a fool. Total criminal elements. Now people, the truth and the fact is that the way that Jamaica is moving right now, a lot of persons, it is going to be mixed review. It is going to be a toss-up. What would you do if you saw your neighbor in some sorts of trouble? Somebody had some sorts of knife at your elderly neighbor's throat. Would you intervene? Would you try to rescue, or would you call the Popo? People, it is very sticky, especially if any sorts of man and woman war, because I have heard of many cases in which man and a woman in some sorts of domestic dispute, people intervene, them end up losing for their life, and these people are back together fighting all over again like a revolving door of madness. Point blank and period. Further on in the news, it is called, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So I am saying this, if you are a criminal element and you have opposition, make sure, and people, I am not glorifying or giving anybody any sorts of hints. Me just say, make sure when you go for the opposition, if that opposition is very serious, you take them out, or else if you miss FIRE, it will come back and it will haunt you. I am speaking specifically about a couple of youths that lost their life maybe about 48 hours ago. 32-year-old Jerome Evans and then Jerome Longman, both of them from retirement in the district. Based on the information, the Popo are surmising that they don't know, say, these two people named Jer and Jer was being called up for a notorious gangster from the opposition. The Popo did not give their name. However, they said that they are from Montego Bay, St. James. They attempted to take away this man, blaze him up a couple of times. However, they made a fatal error, because then he came back. It is said that Mr. Evans and Mr. Longman were chilling out on the spot when some people roll up. The resident them hear all sorts of loud pipe sound at about 10:15 in the night. When them do further investigation called the Popo, they saw Mr. Jerome laying beside his bike. They then made a further check and found Mr. Longman in some sorts of bushes. When the Popo starts to count the spent shell, they found at least 24 spent shell. Most of those corn that was discharged from those spent shell ended up in the body of these two young men, Jer and Jer. They were pretty much riddled when the Popo came on the scene. No sorts of joke. Moral of the story is this: make sure whenever you pick up a life of crime, you are ready for it. If you miss and you this, they done, or the shotter, he will more than likely send his people to represent him and take you out of representational living. Point blank and period. Further on in the news, it is called Blacked Out. 6 men in black is going to be taking this businessman licensed firearm holder from Old Harbor to his final destination, maybe about a month or so from now. This is based on an incident that occurred less than 24 hours ago last night, where this man, it seems as if he was the target, or actually his tool was the target. Some people pull up on him, blaze him up, mostly in the head. He looks like he got at least two pieces in the cranium. He was seen laying on the ground on his back, stretched out in what seems to be a black Adidas suit with the black stripes. He was gone until next never. As soon as I get some more pertinent information, I'll be sure to divulge ASAP. Point blank and period. So anyways, people, thanks once again for checking out my video. If you appreciate videos like these, please show your appreciation by liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing to my channel. That is how YouTube promotes videos like these to like-minded, sensible persons like yourself. Bless up.